my beverage out of the way. It's a tasty beverage. I'll throw it down here. Cats aren't going to take it. So, today was one of those days where I thought about doing a review just for this game, but On the upside, Blues fans, you're back to number 5 on the power rankings, and Tampa Bay's back to number 6. So, there you go. So let's start things off. We're going to start off with that game. Detroit at home against Tampa. There's two things with this game. One, it did feel like Tampa took all their emotions out yesterday, and they didn't have any left for today. That is not making an excuse. It's not. Because the other thing that happened today is that first line for Detroit was absolutely deadly when they got the puck. And every opportunity they had, it seemed ended up in the back of the net. Now, early on, post for Cirelli. The shots are 4-0 for Tampa, 6.5 minutes in. And it looks like Tampa's playing really well and they're not taking things lightly against the Detroit Red Wings. But Detroit scores first. It's Fabry on a beautiful breakaway. Pass from Bertuzzi. 10 minutes and 11 seconds in. It's 1-0 for Detroit. And as soon as that went in, I went, uh-oh. Oh, boy. So the Wings got a power play, and they had a really strong second half to that period. It was 4-0 were the shots early in that one for Tampa. From there, the shots were 9-3 in favor of Detroit. And they looked really good. Again, it's one of those games where if you look at it just in a vacuum and you don't know the standings, you think Detroit was having a good year. And I have to say this too. Detroit, it feels like, has a good record against their own division and just lousy against everybody else. I don't have the stats right now to back that up. And I was wondering if the Bolts used up all their energy last night against Boston. Second period, Tampa starts well again. So this is one of those periods again where Tampa starts out really well. They get some shots. And then Detroit starts showing signs and they start improving, the same as the first. Bernier then denied Killorn. Tampa Bay gets a power play. They score on it. Point scores from Kucherov and Sergachev. And that's at 11 minutes and 11 seconds. So Kucherov up to 84 points now. And you think, all right, so it's Detroit. So, right. And the Wings had a 2-on-1 that was broken up. Then what was funny was, this is probably my favorite moment of this game, that there was a fan on the Kiss Cam. They didn't show it on TV, not on the feed I was watching. Fan on the Kiss Cam, and she refused. She's like, no. So the crowd's booing her. While that's happening, about 20 seconds later, Tampa Bay scores, and it's Verhaeghe unassisted at 14:57. Now, for fans that were in attendance, you blame her? Because she said no on the Kiss Cam, and then Tampa scored right away. And they're allowed to say no. I don't know the situation. It may have been, it's her brother. I don't know. Maybe I don't know this guy. Who knows, right? So, or just don't want to kiss on a camera. So there's a late power play for Tampa. Bernier stopped Killorn again. Killorn had a lot of opportunities in this game, just got denied all right, left, and center. And then it's Larkin from Mantha and Bertuzzi at 19:45. That ties up the game. It's the last minute of the period, and it feels like that's where your momentum shifts. That's where the game shifts in favor of the home team. But the Wings get an early power play in the third, and there is a reason I'm starting this with but. Mantha gets the goal from Larkin and Bertuzzi at 1:41. So that gets them the lead. That's a power play goal. Bogosian hits a post. The puck goes the other way. Bertuzzi scores from Mantha and Larkin at 4:24. That's 4 points for Bertuzzi, 3 points for Mantha, 3 points for Larkin. A lot of points for these guys today. And again, it bodes well for next year. But Tampa Bay, not done. Point scores from Gord at 5:55. The Wings get a power play. They don't score on it. And then Maroon ties it up from Shen and Gord at 11:19. So Gord with a couple of helpers in the third period to tie it up. Tampa Bay gets a power play. It does not score. We go to overtime. Bernier denied Kucherov. And then Tampa Bay had a 3-on-1 that for some reason they just stopped. I think it was Sergachev that had the puck. They had a 3-on-1 in overtime. And they just stopped. And Mickey Redmond's like, well, okay, kind of thing. Like, I love Mickey Redmond. I really do. I can't say enough good things about Mickey Redmond on color commentary. He's absolutely fantastic. And I know commentary was a conversation today, so I'm just throwing that out there. Mickey Redmond makes my day. That's why I watch the Detroit feed for these games. So, shootout. Fabry ends up getting the winner, and Detroit gets the win 5-4 in said shootout. Yeah, I put the numbers on the outside because I figured, yeah, what the heck. Because this one just seemed to be outside of normal. McElhinney saves 24-28. I didn't think Curtis McElhinney had a very good game. I'm going to say that straight up. There was at least one of those goals by Detroit that I thought, Vasi would have saved that. Bernier, 33 saves on 37 shots, but you need to give Vasilevsky a night off here and there. So 3 stars, Bertuzzi, Mantha, and Point. The shots were 9-7 in favor of Detroit in the first, 12-7 in favor of Tampa in the second, 15-9 Tampa in the third, and then in the overtime, 3 shots apiece, 37-28 overall in favor of Tampa. And you know what? Bernier played really, really well. Didn't end up with a .900 save percentage in the game, but I thought Bernier had a good game. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 3 on the power play. So very entertaining game. Tampa Bay comes out of it with a point. Like I said, it's not the result they wanted. Gets them a point further clear of Toronto, a point closer to Boston. They're not likely to catch first. They're really not going to fall back to third. I try not to overreact, but I remember last year. Last year, I didn't. I had Tampa Bay at first, and no matter what was happening, I didn't drop them. And then after what happened in the playoffs, I was like, I really should have dropped them, and because there were some warning signs. So I'm trying to pay attention just in case this is one of those warning signs. May not be, but we'll see, right? Vegas went into Calgary today, and honestly, they made it look kind of easy. At points, this looked kind of easy for them. So, I have to say that of the 2 women's crews that worked today, the one on Sportsnet was very good. You had Cassie Campbell and Leah Hextall doing a majority of the work here. Both very good. Leah doing the play-by-play. I thought she was excellent at it. And Cassie has been doing color commentary for a decade and a half. They pointed out that in 2006, she started up with the Calgary broadcast, and she was the first woman to broadcast coast to coast in Canada. So, as much as I thought back in 2006, I thought she was brutal in the beginning. I'm being completely honest and transparent here. I thought she was brutal in the beginning. She did pick it up. And I think that of the 2 crews, this was the more seasoned of Women's Day and all that. And I thought they did very well. Early chance for Waugh on a 2-on-1 was not successful, but no sex scores from Reeves at 5:24. And all the puck battles just seem to be favoring Vegas in this one. Really did. Holden would score from Cousins and Peary at 11:49. Yeah, none of the big names on the board yet, and Calgary's down 2-0, which didn't bode well for them. The Flames then had a goal that was challenged for goaltender interference, and yeah, it's a goaltender interference call, so that comes off the board. So we go to the second period. Vegas gets a power play, and they score on it. Pacioretty with the power play goal from Carlson and Stastny at 3:39. And it's 3-0. And things seem to be completely in control of Vegas until Milan Lucic with a nice play. He scores at 8:23, but he scores 5-hole. Leonard wants that one back. Robin Leonard coming out of today's game. He sees the replay of that goal. He's going to roll his eyes a lot. He wants that one back. I don't care if Lucic was faking him out with he might pass. That one can't go in. And it gave them energy. The thing was, while Calgary was getting energy from that, they weren't getting very many shots right off the bat. Vegas is playing really well in this one defensively at that stage. But the Flames get a power play. Who scores on the power play? Dubé, who has been ice cold. He gets one from Backlund and Lucic at 16:32. So Milan Lucic with a goal and an assist today. Yep. And that one's a power play assist. So last minute, William Karlsson had a chance that just missed. Just barely missed the net. If that goes in, this one's over before the third. But it's not over. It's 3-2. Third period, Vegas were leading in shots 4-1, 7 minutes into it. So Vegas doing their best version of a trap that you can get. Riddick, though, was getting kind of ticked off. He felt he was getting interfered with and tripped and checked, and things that he felt the referee should be calling, the referee didn't. Whether they should have or shouldn't have, there were only 2 power plays in this entire game, so they were letting everything go. And then Tkachuk, with 3 minutes left, he scores from Mangiapane and Gustafsson. So it's 17 minutes, it's a tie game. And right away I'm thinking, okay, so this is going to go to overtime. Calgary's going to solidify themselves as a third-place team. Vegas picks up a point over Edmonton. We'll see what happens in the extra time. However, Vegas had other plans. It's Theodore scoring from Martinez and Stevenson at 18:50, and it was scored off Mangiapane's stick. Yep. So Reeves, last game they played, he scores on his own net by accident, of course, and now it's the other way. So they get that. The goaltender gets pulled. Marchessault scores at 1942 from Smith and Carlson. So there's the big names on the board in the third period. And Vegas wins this one 5-3. Leonard, 19 saves on 22 shots. I don't think he had a great game. I don't think their defense had a great game, but they won. Riddick saves 27 out of 31 in the loss. Your 3 stars are Holden, Lucic, and Pacioretty. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 1. Shots, 11-9 Calgary in the first, 13-6 Vegas in the second, 10-5 Vegas in the third. Final shots, 32-22 in favor of the Golden Knights. So there you go. I'm trying to train myself not to touch my face. With everything that's going on, they keep saying, don't touch your face. I'm like, you know what? That's a good hygiene practice anyways. But if you practice not touching your face, it makes your face really itchy, and then it's hard not to touch it. It is just awful. It's just terrible. Don't touch your face. All right. And then itches, all kinds of itches. All right. It's sort of like, when somebody touches your back. It's like, hi, how you doing? You go, oh, now it's itchy. Okay, it's the same idea. All right. St. Louis. Yes, Blues. And again, I like the Blues. And I like Blues fans. Picked up a lot of Blues fans during the run to the Stanley Cup. I think this team is contending for a back-to-back run. It's difficult. Would I be surprised if they lost in the first round? No. But that's because of how difficult it is to win back-to-back. It is such wear and tear on the body and just mentally. Again, itchy, right? So it's such mental wear and tear and physical wear and tear. It's really difficult to do it back-to-back. Plus, teams have it in for you that second year, like we can prove ourselves against the champs. So Crawford was in again, and Crawford's being ridden into the ground until they're officially eliminated from the playoffs. This result kind of sort of does that. Shots were 1 apiece at 6 minutes, so both teams kind of sitting back, feeling each other out, which is weird because this is their 4th meeting, and you'd think they wouldn't need that feeling out process. And then there was a break for Kajula. He hits the post. Good game for Crawford early. Very good game for him. He had actually a pretty good game overall. Power play for the Blues. That's unsuccessful. Allen stopped Patrick Kane. Kane would have been frustrated with this result tonight. Late power play for the Hawks. Honestly, there was a lot of frustration for Kane and then Taves towards the end of the game as well. Taves is very competitive. Second period, still scoreless. Solid penalty kill, I should say, for the Blues. So there was an overlapping penalty from the end of the first that went into the start of the second, and St. Louis was ready for that. Bortuzzo, of all people, scores a goal from Shannon Schwartz at 6:41. So in the name of Dakota Mermis, Bortuzzo gets that goal. DeBrincat then nearly tied it. He's going to be frustrated. Again, every game for Chicago, I've got DeBrincat's name on the board with denied, hits the post, almost gets one, pretty close. He was right there. I don't know what to say. I feel bad for DeBrincat, to be honest. Saw it had a chance, it was denied. There was a power play for the Hawks. This was a scrummy physical game at that point. Power play for the Hawks again. There were a lot of stories being told during the commentary. So this is something that I saw in the comments, and I'm going to comment on it myself here. The biggest difference between the women calling this game and the women calling this game was the play-by-play was the play-by-play while the puck was on the ice and the action was going on. The stories would wait till after the whistle's blown. The stories were being told here, and they were being told a little too much. Part of it may have been, in my eyes, part of it may have been nerves. You got to think, there's a lot of nerves and a lot of pressure. Like, okay, you're going coast to coast. First all-women's crew. The other thing is, Kendall Coyne is knowledgeable. She's good at her job. She has a grating voice. And I think that's part of it too, is that her voice can be kind of, I don't know, it's just, it does tend to kind of get grating after a little while. But they did tell stories too much while there was play going on, and where it drove me nuts was during a power play. During a power play for the Hawks, they're just telling stories about Jeremy Colleton and all this other Blackhawks stuff, and then they're talking about I'm like, no. Okay, you ladies want to talk about this, great. But during the play, you need to talk about the play that's going on. Because Kendall is pretty smart about her hockey. There were moments during this game where she was picking up on things going on and talking about it, and I thought, that's insightful. But then it gets caught up in all the other stuff. So that being said, Kane had a chance that was stopped. Allen lost the puck, but it didn't go in the net. And it's 1-0 after 2. Third period, power play for the Blues. It's unsuccessful. However, Pietrangelo would score from Schwartz and Blais at 5:37. That made it 2-0. And once it was 2-0, I knew this was over. Jake Allen on the road is fantastic this year. The shots were 6-2 for the Blues at 12 minutes, so that helps when he also didn't face more than 2 shots in the first 12 minutes of the third period. They pulled the goalie with 2.5 minutes left, and this is where I'll mention Kendall again. Kendall pointed out a few times in the game, the Hawks here, they get a good shot, they're not getting traffic to the net. So Jake Allen could see every shot that was being taken, and without the traffic in front, he's going to stop it every time. And he did, every single time. Allen saves 29. He gets his 21st career shutout. Crawford, 24 saves on 26 shots. Your 3 stars are Allen, Pietrangelo, and Schwartz. Shots were 7 apiece in the first, 13-10 in the second in favor of Chicago, 9 apiece in the third. Final shots 29-26 for the Hawks. Power plays, St. Louis 0 for 2, Chicago 0 for 4, and I think that does it for Chicago's power play hopes for a playoff spot. Because of what happened elsewhere tonight, basically, Minnesota comes out. How did I not? Okay, so it wasn't a theoretical score tonight. So yeah, Chicago didn't get help in this game tonight. They got help elsewhere. We'll get to that help in a minute. But yeah, so for Chicago, I do think it's kind of done for them. And for St. Louis, they continue the run to a division title if Colorado doesn't catch them. Colorado is keeping pace with them even still. It's a fascinating run, and we're going to see if it comes down to the last week of the season, and it may very well. All right, now Minnesota and Anaheim. And there was a score in this. It's not just theoretical. It actually happened. So can't wait till the comments for people like, you don't have a score on that game. Yeah, I always catch that kind of thing. So the shots were 3-0 for the Wild at 5 minutes. And they had it pretty well in hand. Then the Ducks get a power play. The chances start going the other way a little bit. And then Silverberg scored from Raquel at 11 minutes and 18 seconds. And that's a problem. And it's a problem because I don't think Dubnyk had a very good game tonight. If you need any proof that Stalock's the starter, just watch the footage from this game. Stalock is rightfully the starter for this team and should be. Even though the LA game happened, it was a thing. He's still the better of the 2 goaltenders. Then there's a goal by the Wild, which was challenged for goaltender interference. And it was pretty obvious pretty early this goal was going to count. Zuccarello scores from Galchenyuk and Foligno at 12:02. Now, here's why it counted. So, Miller does get interfered with a little bit. But when I saw it in real time, and on a replay where they're looking from overhead and they've got it all slowed down, it's hard to tell. But in real time, you could see Miller wasn't stopping that. One of the discretions that a referee has was the goaltender going to stop that anyways? So if the interference doesn't cost the goaltender a save, the goal's still good. And that's how I saw it in this one. And so I personally thought it was okay. And the contact initially was outside of the blue paint as well. It wasn't in the crease, the initial contact. So again, it's a judgment call, but I thought they made the right one in the end. So power play for the Wild because of the failed challenge. And of course, this is how it works. Fiala scores from Parise and Spurgeon at 13:33. So not only did that goal count, but they score on the power play that came out of that play, and suddenly it's 2-1 for Minnesota. Power play then for the Ducks. The Wild will get another power play. And then in the last minute, the Wild take another penalty. So the Ducks had their chances. Second period, kind of a quiet period. To be honest, the shots were pretty low in that period. Things get kind of scrummy at the halfway mark. A lot of I don't like your face going on. The Ducks had been stuck at 8 shots for a long time, to the point where I put it on the board. Like, they're just stuck on 8 shots. They're not getting beyond it. But they get their 9th shot, and it's Danton Heinen scoring from Milano and Getzlaf at 11:52. Brodin helped the puck into the net, but Danton Heinen gets another goal. He's been pretty proficient for the Anaheim Ducks since getting there. I like that trade for Anaheim. I still like that trade for Anaheim. I'm probably going to continue to like that trade for Anaheim. Silverberg then scores from Raquel at 14:55, and suddenly Anaheim's got a 3-2 lead. And then they get a power play. So their power play, if it had been effective tonight, we end up with a Ducks victory in regulation. It was not effective. Third period. The Wild, they point out, are 1-20-1 entering the third period with a deficit. So excellent chances for Anaheim. How do they mess it up? Well, first it's Victor Rask at 149, and they mentioned he'd been a healthy scratch in 7 straight games before this one. So he gets back into the lineup, and sometimes that guy who's been, watching from the press box can be the most dangerous guy on the ice when he gets that puck, because he realizes, if I score, I might stay in the lineup. If I don't, I'll probably go back to the press box. Miller then robbed Koivu. However, as the play goes on, Galchenyuk with a beautiful goal at 14:20, and that gives the Minnesota Wild the lead with 5.5 minutes left. So Anaheim, a team that struggles to score, has problems scoring all year, they get one. It's Juice scoring his first goal of the year. It's the 5th goal he's scored in 117 games. Christian Juice, the best name in hockey, I would argue, right now. Silverberg and Raquel with the assists at 18 minutes and 18 seconds. We're going to overtime. In overtime, the Wild end up getting a power play, and they score on it. It's Fiala with his second power play goal in the game, his second goal overall. Cunnin and Suter with the assists at exactly 4 minutes. Fiala continues to be a major story. The Minnesota Wild right now tonight are in a playoff spot. Now, they're not far clear, and I need to discuss the whole playoffs thing in the West and the East, because just looking at it and the board that I showed you fine people last night, and I don't know that anybody's emerging as the favorites, but Minnesota's doing pretty darn well, and they're asserting themselves right now. Big win over Anaheim. Anaheim gets a point out of it. They're not going to the playoffs, but they get a point. It's another not a loss in regulation moment for them. Dubnyk saves 22 out of 26 in the win. Miller saved 25 out of 30 in the loss. I didn't think either goaltender played great. I thought Miller was the stronger goaltender, even though he allows 5 goals. Silverberg, Fiala, and Galchenyuk are your 3 stars. Galchenyuk has looked pretty good for Minnesota. Not worth how much money he's getting paid, but he's UFA in the offseason, and maybe he'll sign for less to stay in Minnesota. Power plays 2 for 3 for the Wild, 0 for 4 for the Anaheim Ducks, so that's your difference right there. Shots 11-6 Minnesota in the first, 6 apiece in the second, 13-11 Anaheim in the third, and in the overtime, 2-1 in favor of Minnesota. Final shots 30-26 for the Wild. They bounce back nicely from that humiliating defeat against the Kings. They go in and they get their win in Anaheim, and they stop the bleeding there. So we'll see if they can continue that from here, and we'll look at board number 2 and see what else happened tonight. I have a tradition that when the Canucks are done, so whether it's the last game of the regular season or it's their last playoff game, that I wear their gear the next day. And it's founded on my belief that the fan sticks by the team whether they win or lose. And it's been my experience in this area that when Vancouver misses the playoffs, you see a heck of a lot less Canucks gear being worn. And when they get knocked out of the playoffs, the amount of Canucks gear you see goes to zero pretty quick. At least for that first few weeks, usually. And I'm just talking about my area and my experience. I'm not saying it happens everywhere. I'm starting to worry that maybe those playoffs, maybe not. First period, good start for the Canucks. They get a power play. Low chance, low risk period. And then you look at it and you go, all right, so Columbus is at 3 shots. This was the lowest shot total they had in a period. It tied their lowest for the season. I think that was against Philadelphia. I want to say it was the second period. But I got nervous coming out of that period. I thought, the Canucks were the better team, but nobody got a goal there. So second period. The Columbus Blue Jackets opened the second on a power play, and they were stuck on 3 shots. And I started thinking, is Demko going to be cold? It's a concern you have. Like, a goaltender doesn't see the puck for a while. Is he going to be cold when he gets those shots on net? Near goal for Toffoli. Doesn't go in. And then it's Bemstrom. Now, I mentioned him in the preview. I mentioned he was threatening that 10th goal. It's offensive. He got it tonight. Dubois and Wenberg with the assists at 7 minutes and 18 seconds. The Canucks then get a power play. It was not effective tonight. The shots were only 14-7 in the entire game with 3 minutes left in the second period. In favor of Vancouver, Not that it matters. Then, in the last minute of the period, these ones are killers. Robinson gets a goal from Gavrikov and Savard at 1932. And it's 2-0 going into the third period. So, third period, Columbus started strong because they obviously sensed that they could steal the game. So, when a team senses they can steal a game, the energy level changes. And for Columbus, it was pretty strong for them off the hop. Dubois almost got one. Bemstrom got a couple of chances as well. He was denied a couple of times. Columbus gets a power play. And I wrote up, well, at least they didn't blow a lead, in reference to the game they had in Columbus where they had the 3-1 lead and lost 5-3. And then Pettersson would score on a turnover at 8:19. And Pettersson kind of went, yeah, I'll get it. And it was a nice goal for Elias Pettersson. And so that made it 2-1. The Canucks get a power play. The game had some emotion in the third. If the game had emotion in the first, maybe Vancouver comes out with a win. Vancouver seems to be a team that plays better when you're in a game that's high emotion, high risk, and lots of chances. And tonight just wasn't that game. They really played a Columbus game. If you're John Tortorella, you have to feel pretty good with how this game went. Goaltender gets pulled with 1:47 left. Timeout with 23 seconds left. Yeah, the Canucks made a push. Couldn't get it. Couldn't tie it up. 2-1 win for Columbus. I will be there for the next Canucks game on Tuesday where they are playing against the New York Islanders. And yeah, I'm kind of nerve-wracked with this. This is why after they beat Colorado, which was a nice win, I was still like, it's one though. Now they've lost 5 out of 6. And all in regulation. Merzlikins, 26 saves on 27 shots. He was solid when tested. He wasn't really tested though until a little bit past, I want to say, the halfway mark of the second period. He had his feet under him by then. Demko saved 20 out of 22. I thought Demko played fine. I am not going to say, well, if we had Markstrom here, because I'm not going to say Markstrom would have got a shutout. Dubois, Pettersson, and Merzlikins are your 3 stars. The shots were 6-3 in the first in favor of Vancouver. 9-7 Vancouver in the second. 12-12 in the third. So like I said, if the entire game had been played with that energy and tempo, Canucks would have had a better chance. Final shots 27-22 for Vancouver. Columbus had a great plan coming in. They were 0-2 on the power play, but Vancouver was 0-3. And Columbus gets themselves 2 points. And they move back up to the number 1 wildcard spot. And who knows? Maybe Columbus ends up making the playoffs after all. Last game of the night, Colorado in against San Jose. And San Jose is, much like the other California teams, making it interesting. Although they're still taking more losses than the other California teams. And if you're a Senators fan, that has to be somewhat thrilling, I would think. You guys love that, don't you? Sens fans, I tell you. Almost as if they think they need multiple top-notch prospects to join the team next year. So the shots were 3-1 for Colorado at 8 minutes. Not an overly exciting start. Francouz stopped Gregor. Power play for the Sharks. And then Couture took a puck to the cheek/visor. Took it to the face either way. He left the game. Now, considering his injury history, that is just awful news for a San Jose team that was enjoying seeing him back. Thornton then scores on a power play from Kane and Meyer at 11:16. So, that was during that same power play where Couture takes the puck to the cheek. So, the Avs then get a power play and they score on it. San Jose, known for their penalty kill, tonight it allowed a goal. McKinnon gets that one from Landeskog and Compher at 16-17. That's the 35th of the season for McKinnon as he continues to roll towards 100 points. And they pointed out, and I didn't realize it had been this long, McKinnon's never had 100 points. And the last member of the team that had 100 points was Joe Sakic, well over a decade ago. So if he gets there, and he should get there, knock on wood, congratulations to him. I forgot, he ended up with 99 last year, didn't he? I remember him and Johnny Gaudreau both end up with 99. So that's tough, because that doesn't count as 100. They still go, haven't had a 100-point scorer, and for a player who has 99, that just has to be frustrating. So last-minute power play for the Sharks, but we go into the second period tied at 1. Francouz had some nice saves to start the period, and then Landeskog scores from McKinnon and Nemesnikov at 1:59. Nemesnikov's been a very solid addition for the Colorado Avalanche. Really, really nice. However, that lead doesn't last. Sorensen with a nice pass to Melker Karlsson, who was away. Karlsson causes the turnover, and then he's just gone. That's the 6th of the year, scored at 3:41. back and forth play. Pretty exciting game from that point where it's 2-2. Kane had a breakaway that was denied, and then before we reach the midway mark of the period, it's Nemesnikov scoring from Landeskog and McKinnon at 8:41. So again, Nemesnikov with the second point of the night. Landeskog, that is his third point of the night, and for McKinnon, his third point of the night as well. So another multi-point game for Colorado's McKinnon, because of course it is. So the Avs get a power play. It turned into a 5-on-3 for 42 seconds, but the penalty kill for San Jose was solid outside of allowing that goal in the first period to McKinnon. So we go into the third. The Avalanche get their fourth power play unsuccessful. Dylan Gambrell hits the post. The Sharks end up getting a power play. They don't score. And yeah, Couture did not return. There was no sign of him on the bench. We'll see how long he's going to be out again. This is where injury prone starts to show up, in that it's multiple different injuries. They're freak things that happen. It always happens to certain people. And it's a shame because Logan Couture is a beast. I still remember, in the playoffs, him wearing all the headgear because all of his teeth got knocked out, and he still played. So he doesn't need a face, apparently. He may go against my theory that you need a face to play in the NHL because Couture decided, well, they knocked my face off. I'm going back out there. Donskoy would score from Comfer and Johnson at 15:27. The other point of that is that for Couture to end up being knocked out of a game, it has to be something big. So yeah, Donskoy scores. That made it 4-2. Power play for San Jose. Gregor scores from Meyer and LeBanc at 19:16. Makes it interesting, but in the end, Colorado holds on. They win 4-3 over San Jose, and they stay within 2 points of first place St. Louis. And nobody did Dallas a favor tonight. Dallas falls 2 points further back of both Colorado and St. Louis. They're not going to finish higher than third. Francouz, 22 saves on 25 shots in the win. I didn't think Francouz played a great game tonight, but he does get the win. Jones, 20 saves on 24 shots. He was getting so close to 900 on the year. His save percentage takes a hit tonight. Your 3 stars are McKinnon, Landeskog, and Joe Thornton. Power plays 1-for-4 for Colorado, 2-for-4 for San Jose. Shots favored Colorado in the first and second, 8-7 in the first, 10-7 in the second. In the third, San Jose outshoots them 11-6. Final shots 25-24 in favor of San Jose. But this was a fun game. I realized the shot total is exactly the same. There's 49 shots in both of these games. This was a more wide open, exciting game. When the shots came through, they were prime shots. They were really good shots. So, very good game here. And for Colorado, it's a good result. For San Jose, they're playing out the string. But that's it for tonight. We have 5 games tomorrow, so look for a preview tomorrow morning. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Do hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this channel, this video. And I look forward to seeing all of you again tomorrow. Thanks for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.